Hey guys, Dr. Snellgrove here, just recording a quick video for our 8-week Composition 1 class, introducing you to our second essay. And man, it's a weird one. So your first essay was kind of a straightforward argumentative essay, right? The idea being that you pick an argument like Florida needs to legalize recreational marijuana, and then you spend the rest of the essay defending that argument. This is why Florida needs to legalize recreational marijuana. All right, so this essay, this upcoming essay, it's another argumentative essay, but it's very different. So what you're going to do is you need to pick up to 3 commercials for the same company or product. So this could be like if you choose, say, Apple, it could be 3 iPhone commercials, or it could be an iPhone commercial, a MacBook commercial, maybe an old iPod commercial, or something like that. So up to 3 commercials for the same company or product. And you're trying to figure out who the company or who these ads are basically being targeted towards, right? So you're going to generate a thesis that's basically company X appeals to audience Y, like Apple appeals to blank. Now, here's a slight curveball for the assignment. The audience you choose has to have at least 2 descriptors. So what I mean by that is I can't say, Apple appeals to women. It's like, really? 51% of the planet, all women everywhere, it's trying to appeal to? That's bold, ambitious. So instead, you have to have at least a second criteria in there, like Apple appeals to young women. Apple appeals to middle-aged women. Apple appeals to elderly women, or something like that. You don't have to use age and gender. You can have stuff like I've had people do Nike appeals to hardworking athletes or something like that. That's fine. But historically, I've been doing the versions of this essay for a while. People usually go with age and gender because it's easier, I guess. So anyways, up to 3 commercials, you need to figure out who you think that they are trying to appeal to, right? And then once you have that argument out there, like, I'm always drinking my damn Coca-Cola. If I say something like Coca-Cola appeals to young men, that's my thesis. Well, the whole rest of the essay is going to be me I'm analyzing 1 commercial at a time and bringing in these details that explain how and why these commercials appeal to young men. Now, I'm leaving this deliberately open to you in terms of how you can approach that argument. Maybe you want to focus on the casting. If there's nothing but young men in there, well, yeah, it's probably appealing to young men. But you can also focus on setting. Is it a setting like, oh, it's a hipster bar where young men are likely to hang out? Is it dialogue? Are they talking about things that young men would find relatable? Anything and everything. And I often joke with students that this essay, you might find yourself kind of reverse engineering. Like, chances are, after you watch a commercial once or twice, you probably have a pretty good idea of who it's appealing to. Your brain figured it out. But now the essay is making you kind of go back in there. Well, what made my brain figure that out? And then you are putting that in the written form. And like I said, it's very different from essay 2 in terms of how you approach it. But the basic mechanics are the same. You have a thesis. You're trying to write for an audience that's on the fence. They don't quite believe you. So you're trying to throw out as many different arguments as you can in order to help them believe you. All right, so I want to go over some stuff, just some heads up that sometimes this stuff throws students off. All right, you will probably at some point need to go back to the drawing board on at least some of your commercials. Why do I say that with such confidence? Okay, well, the biggest thing that takes students often by surprise with this essay is we need to be able to argue that all 3 commercials are appealing to the same audience. So we don't want you being like, oh, this one's appealing to this audience, and this one's appealing to this audience, this one's appealing to this audience. It's all 3 commercials, same audience. So if you choose a company that's made a lot of commercials, chances are not every single commercial has been aimed at the same audience. So usually what happens is you'll have 1 commercial you definitely want to use, and then you kind of go back to the drawing board and cherry pick other commercials that seem to be, aiming for the same audience this one is. Now, speaking of audience, I'm not going to pretend this magically makes the essay easy, but one thing that you can do with this assignment is to pick a company or product that you already like, and then pick a demographic that you are already part of. So if you like Sony, maybe you're a PlayStation gamer or something, and you're a young man, you can pick, some PlayStation commercials or Sony commercials, be like, Sony appeals to young men. And so that's a thesis. And why am I saying this might make your essay easier? Well, if you're part of that demographic and you already know the product, you probably have a few ideas about how and why these commercials appeal to your demographic versus, that same young man, if he was doing something like, blah, blah, blah appeals to elderly women. Doesn't mean he couldn't make that argument, but he's now going to have to put his mind in the mind of an elderly woman, makes the assignment a little bit harder. All right, so the essay, once again, unfortunately, this is our standard for all the essays. It's 5 pages. Now that is double spaced, Times Roman, font size 12. Research is optional on this essay. You don't have to cite the commercials or have any other citations in there, but we will have some stuff in the future about how, like, if you want to do some outside research, it can help you make your arguments. And then I will note that on the outline assignment, it's going to ask you to include the URLs, the links to the different commercials you're thinking about using. As always, the outline is not a contract. You're not stuck with whatever you submit, but I do want you to hit the ground running, finding some good commercials, coming up with a good thesis, and then coming at this essay, because I think, once you get past how initially strange it is, this essay can teach you a lot about basically media literacy and noticing the marketing in the world around you. But anyways, that's it for me for now. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or feel free to text me at 863-835-2399. Y'all have a good one. Bye.